Welcome in, everyone. Today, we're diving into an absolutely beautiful piece of ancient poetry, Psalm 96. Think of our time together today as just a warm, cozy fireside chat where we get to unpack some truly magnificent ideas. Now, if you've been following along with the preceding Psalms, like 93 or 95, you know we've been looking at this solemn, powerful fact. God is the true king who rules over the entire earth. But Psalm 96? Well, it takes this to a whole new level. The praise for the king literally bursts out of the room of Israel and just expands. It reaches all the nations under heaven, the sky, the sea, even the trees in the forest. It's this incredibly exciting, majestic coronation of the cosmic king. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this by addressing a pretty fascinating question. When we hear the word judgment, our minds almost instantly default to fear, right? Anxiety, maybe images of terrifying punishment. Yet as we go through this text today, we are going to see all of creation absolutely thrilled, just overjoyed at the prospect of God's coming judgment. Why in the world would the Bible tell us to rejoice so much at something we've basically been conditioned to fear? Keep that question right in the back of your mind as we trace the flow of this psalm.
Section 1, the Universal Call, covering verses 1 through 3. The text opens up with this expansive, sweeping invitation directed to the entirety of creation. Just listen to the sheer energy and enthusiasm here. Oh, sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord, all the earth. Sing to the Lord, bless his name. Tell of his salvation from day to day. Did you catch who is being invited to the choir? He calls to all the earth. This isn't some exclusive song meant only for the people of Israel. No, the psalmist is sending out this massive, global invitation to literally every nation on the planet to sing to God the King. Now, what's really interesting about this is the exact meaning of a new song. It doesn't just mean, a piece of music that was recently composed. In a theological sense, a new song refers to a fresh, dynamic confession of overwhelming emotion. It's poured out by people who are actively experiencing God's new work of salvation today. It's not about just sitting back and staying stuck in the grace you received yesterday. It is a present, living, incredibly dynamic praise for what He is doing right now.
And that flows perfectly right into verse 3, where the psalmist tells us to declare His glory among the nations. This reveals a surprisingly powerful missionary mandate running right through the Old Testament. See, God's salvation was never, ever meant to be a secret kept hidden away in some back room. It is magnificent good news, and it absolutely must be proclaimed widely, day after day, to every single corner of the globe.
Moving on to Section 2, the Great Contrast, which covers verses 4 through 6.
So if we're calling the whole entire world to praise Him, we kind of have to ask the logical question, why? The psalmist answers this by setting up a razor-sharp contrast. He takes a direct, unashamed swing at the false deities being worshipped by the surrounding nations. He declares, definitively, for all the gods of the peoples are worthless idols, but the Lord made the heavens. That is a bold, uncompromising statement that just completely dismantles the whole pantheon of ancient gods.
It's actually super fascinating to look at the original Hebrew word here. The word translated as idols is Elilim, and it literally means things of nothing, vain things, or things with absolutely no value of existence. The psalmist is basically pointing out that the gods of this world are just hollow, blind, deaf statues made by human hands. They have eyes, but they can't see, ears, but they can't hear. They are entirely powerless.
And this brilliantly illustrates the vast, unbridgeable chasm between the two. On one side, you have the Creator. He made the heavens. He's totally transcendent. And as verse 6 tells us, splendor and majesty are right there before Him. But on the other side, you have these worthless idols. They are confined entirely within this physical world, just mere products of human imagination. When you place them in the presence of the Almighty Creator, these man-made idols completely lose their light. They just vanish into insignificance.
Section 3 now, the royal court, covering verses 7 through 10.
Having firmly established the absolute supremacy of the Creator, the psalmist now specifically summons the families of the nations to step forward into the place of worship. Listen to the repetition in these verses. Ascribe to the Lord, ascribe to the Lord, ascribe to the Lord, 3 times. This passionate cry rings out. It's a powerful, urgent call to accord the highest possible respect and to bring the proper offering to the true King of the universe.
So what does it actually mean to ascribe the glory due to His name? Well, it means exalting God to the exact, infinite value of His great works. And when you truly recognize that massive value, approaching the king requires a deep, holy reverence. In verse 9, the psalmist exhorts the earth to tremble before him. Now, this trembling isn't about sheer knee-knocking terror. It's the profound, awe-filled reverence of the saints stepping into the sheer splendor of absolute holiness.
And that awe just builds and builds until we hit the core conclusion of this praise in verse 10. Say among the nations, the Lord reigns. Yes, the world is established, it shall never be moved. He will judge the peoples with equity. This right here is the ultimate anchor of reality. Because God rules, the world doesn't just collapse into chaos. It remains firmly, securely established.
So the crucial point is right here in this phrase, Yahweh Malak, the Lord reigns. It is a grand coronation declaration. And we see a really stark contrast here. Think about human governance. It's so often riddled with expediency, bias, and downright injustice, right? But God's governance? It is perfectly upright. He rules over all nations with flawless equity and perfect justice. Bringing us to our final section, Section 4, the Cosmic Symphony, covering verses 11 through 13.
As we enter this final section, the scale of worship dramatically breaks right through the boundaries of human society and expands outward into an absolute spectacle of joy. Just picture this magnificent scene for a second. Let the heavens be glad, and let the earth rejoice. Let the sea roar, let the field exult. Then shall all the trees of the forest sing for joy. The entire universe is transforming into a massive, thunderous orchestra, cheering wildly for the royal procession of God the King. Let's move to and see how this builds. Notice how it creates this cascading reaction of pure joy. It starts at the very heights of the heavens, drops down to the earth, crashes into the roaring sea, sweeps across the exulting fields, and finally bursts out into a literal song to the trees of the forest. Every single layer of creation is vibrating with excitement.
But why? Why is nature so incredibly happy? What has got the trees singing and the seas roaring? Verse 13 answers it beautifully. For he comes, to judge the earth. He will judge the world in righteousness, and the peoples in his faithfulness. And here we finally resolve that hook from the very beginning of our explainer. The biblical paradigm of judgment is not a terrifying, destructive penalty for creation. No, God's judgment is the joyous, ultimate setting right of a broken world. It is the long-awaited day when the order of the created world, which has been oppressed, abused, and fractured by the wicked, is finally and fully restored to its rightful state through God's righteousness and faithfulness. I mean, no wonder the earth is rejoicing. As we wrap up our time in Psalm 96, I really want to leave you with this thought. The God we believe in isn't just a local deity. He is the great creator who rightfully deserves the praise of the entire universe. No matter how small or humble your daily life may seem to you, you are invited to be a part of this massive, cosmic worship. Look to the King who rules with perfect justice. So my question to you is your life today a new song for the great King? Will you spread this joyful, missionary passion to the world around you? Keep that in mind as you go about your day. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.